Welcome back, Alphonse. Hope everybody is having a terrific Tuesday. It is a terrific Tuesday. And let's see what's going on with the market. We didn't really have a gap up, but a nice little pump right there in the last 5 minutes of the day yesterday. Uh, kind of opened flat here on the SPY. Nice quick drop. Was negative for first 30 minutes or so, but after like the first 10 minutes, kind of got rolling here, and then yeah, nice hour 15 minutes of bullishness. Allie, how are you doing today? Nice little pullback, push, continue higher, took out the daily high, and that was the daily high right there. So we have not taken out that spot yet, at least on the SPY, and then kind of rolled over a nice little hour pullback here. And yeah, nice push higher, kind of up at the daily highs right now. Big Tech is absolutely crushing it today. Yes, Big Tech is crushing it, Ali. I know. But I don't care. I don't care. It just feels like people are going with what's worked in the past 10 to 15, 20 years, and that's Big Tech, or what has now become Big Tech. And yeah, there you go on the Qs. Nice push higher. Getting really close to taking out this high from October the 12th. Kind of interesting one. And yeah, there you go. Looking pretty good there on the Qs. Qs actually nice gap up here on the Qs. Nothing crazy as far as the gap up. It was actually I'm only about 1/4%, yeah, about 0.3%. But man, that was a quick retest that first 10 minutes, and it just took off. Um, but it was just kind of nice pullback here. They continued just a little bit outpacing the rest of the marketplace today. Ali said, what about out all these gaps, all these gaps?" What do you mean by what about out? What about out all these gaps? Or what about all these gaps? Yeah, just a lot of gaps. It's really weird. I don't know. It's kind of just really weird market. IWM has basically stopped its uptrend. All right, the IWM didn't really do a whole lot yesterday. Nice little pullback there on IWM, down 1.25%. It's actually negative again today with this gap down. Down roughly 0.3%. So it's kind of an interesting one that the market seems to be very concentrated for today's performance into that Big Tech area. The Qs are just ripping it higher. You can see the IWM had a nice little gap down here. Obviously had that 10-minute pullback like the Qs and SPY did. Nice push higher and rolled over. A little bit of an uptrend here over the past hour or so. DIA, kind of the same thing, a little bit of a gap down, push higher. At least it's positive, up 0.2%. Not looking too bad there. RSP, the equal weight SP 500 is actually negative. So this kind of tell you how the rest of the stock market's actually doing, right? Most of the stocks are actually not doing all that well. So we have a little bit of a gap down, flush lower. And if we just take a quick look at that heat map. Oh, let me look at the daily. Yeah, daily as well. Kind of looks like the IWM. Did the DIA get above 340? It's DIA is slowly getting through this level. I would say it really kind of hasn't yet. It would, for me, I would want to see it probably get over 345, probably 345. But yeah, this is a pretty important area for the DIA and the Dow Jones. So, anyways, it's kind of what's going on there. But as far as looking at the heat map, you can take a look at the heat map, and I mean, it's tech, kind of just the big tech stuff, Amazon, Tesla as well. I mean, other than that, there's a lot of red out there. There's a lot of red. Non-energy materials, industrial services, not so much producer manufacturing. Obviously, deer and cat seem to be getting hit pretty good, but you also got AMAT, LRCX doing pretty good. Lam Research, energies. I didn't look at energies yesterday. Go take a look at energies. Producer, industrial or process industrials getting hit. They're pretty good. Healthcare is kind of a mixed bag. Financials getting hit again. They got hit yesterday, so it's kind of like a mixed bag out there. If you just take out the weighting of big tech, it's not all sunshines and rainbows, even though people just keep going to the areas that have performed. So I don't know. I kind of want to do some analysis on Ray. What's going on? Hello. I love how you give an afternoon update. You're welcome. Yeah, I just try to help simplify it. It's basically like the first 15, really the first 20 minutes, maybe it's a little bit longer, 10, 20 minutes of the live stream. I get it, man. People work. It's like, hey, I just want to understand what's kind of going on in the market, any major news, all that kind of stuff. That's all I try to do. People during the day want to stay informed, but they got meetings, they got jobs, stuff like that. So I'm glad it's beneficial for somebody, and I do try to get it out before the market closes. That way, if there's something that kind of piques your interest or that you're watching, you can make a trade decision or something like that. Dollar. VIX not really doing a whole lot though. For how much the market's up, like the Qs SPY up. I mean the VIX is down, but it's not crazy down, right? I mean last week we saw the VIX really get crushed. It's not really dropping off here, so that's kind of interesting. Dollar, nice little bounce, kind of retest. Nice little upper wick into these lows that it kind of put in over the month of October. Got the moving averages coming down. So, yeah. Okay. That's about all I got on that. Nice little retest if you do want to play bearish dollar. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, it does. It makes a lot of sense. So, just have to see how this one plays out here. You do have plenty of room to the 100 moving average at the lower levels. So, you're also going to have this nice little kind of support and resistance level right here around 103. So yeah, I mean, you got plenty of room here to maybe play the dollar, the DXY bearish. And I could definitely understand taking that position. Absolutely. GLD, so dollar, obviously GLD, GLD just absolutely ripped it there in the, October with the Middle East issues. Seems like it's going to have a little bit more of a rest pause here. We'll see if it actually rolls over, if it's just going to kind of consolidate here. Maybe have a little bit more of a pullback. If it gets down into the upper 170s, I think, honestly, in my opinion, I think I flipped on this move, on this trend move, really, the strong move that we had in October. I would be more willing to be bullish any kind of pullback into probably that 177, 178 type area. Yeah. Let me check this. Yeah, this is what I want. So from that low to that high, maybe down to 150. Maybe down to 150. You get like a nice little 2/3 of a retrace. And maybe it comes down, fills this gap somewhere. So yeah, 174, 175, somewhere in there. I think that might be the lower end on a decent pullback here on GLD and gold. But I would be more willing to be bullish now. I think that was a really strong move. And I don't think we would break down anymore. It's kind of a bummer because I was really, really interested in seeing GLD kind of down to that 160 area. I was really hoping to see that. So, all right, 10-year yield. 10-year yield. Yields are dropping off a little bit. It's going to be pretty close to do or die time here on yields. Not saying here maybe over the next couple of days, maybe we do come up, maybe up to this level, kind of form like a little head and shoulders, then we get yields actually to roll over. So we do know over the past several months, yields have been putting a lot of pressure on markets, and we'll just have to see what happens. But if yields continue to drop off here, that'd be very interesting. 10-2 inversion, you can see the 10-2 inversions dropping off. Typically, you want to see this moving back to the non-inverted area. Oops, let me turn off log. Non-inverted area, get back above zero. Once it gets above zero or starts to have these huge climbs, kind of like how it was a couple of weeks back in September, October. That's when you'll get the major selling kind of coming in on the market. What's not happening though, you can see that we just saw the 10 years falling off. But why is the inversion yield not falling off? Well, the 2 year is not dropping as much as the 10 year. Now it looks a little bit more dramatic over the past couple of weeks, but just today the 2 year is just not as weak as the 10 year. Like long terms are kind of dropping a little bit. I don't know. So it's kind of weird spot out there right now on yields. So I want to see like a couple more days how this sets up. So bonds are doing okay today since yields across the board basically are pushing higher. So yep, there you go. Let's take a look at sector rotation. I'm gonna guess big tech is doing its best big tech things. Sector performance. There we go. So okay. So I'm trying to make sure. So there you go. So makes sense. XLK technology, discretionaries, XLY, XLC communications, all outpacing the SPY or the SP 500 today. Big tech is leading the day. There you go. Energies are actually negative 2%. So are materials. Materials energies down negative 2% on the day. XLRE real estate underperforming, down 0.7% on the day. Utilities also underperforming. Industrials, financials underperforming. Healthcare and staples also underperforming. So everything's underperforming except for, well, what has made the bull market long lasting over the past 15 years is really big tech. So big tech seems to be holding up today pretty well. There wasn't much of a gap, so intraday price action probably won't be any different. But yeah, you can see tech, everything's basically the same. Except for energies. And apparently energies had a pretty good gap down. XLE there, actually off the lows of the day. So, okay. Yeah, looks like energies did have a pretty good gap down there. All right, let's go take a look at energies. I don't think I looked at energies yesterday, so we can take a look at that. Run through some of this. So crude oil. Ooh, man. Demand destruction. So, So one of the things that we've kind of been talking about really since this time period, it's kind of one of those things that we weren't seeing gasoline, which take a look at gasoline here. So gasoline, all right, whatever. I'll do that. We can look a little bit more in depth of energies tomorrow. So I'll knock that out. Can I look at heating oil? I can look at heating oil. All right. So I can look at heating oil, but I can't look at gasoline. Fantastic. So, you gotta love it. Yeah, I got hit this morning with all those, but apparently I didn't do the gasoline one. It's fine. It is what it is. So heating oil, nice little drop off here today, down 3.7%. So that's not good. This tells you there's a lot of demand issues actually going on in the economy. Gasoline provides a lot, diesel and jet, which price off of heating oil. This is why heating oil is looked at. But these are basically the economic. This is the fuel for the economy, right? So a lot of diesel trucks, right? They freight your semis on the road. Also, ships use a lot of diesel fuel. Your rail. So whenever this is dropping off like this, is basically saying that there's a lack of demand from economic transports, which it's always kind of interesting when this lines up with the heat map and transports are actually down. It doesn't really look like it. It looks like UNP. I'll blow this up here. UNP is actually negative. NSC. So Norfolk Southern. So the three big rail companies are NSC, CSX, UNP. They're all negative. CSX actually within 50 basis points of zero. So UNP, NSC down about 1%. Transport's not having a great day. Old Dominion Freight is also another one that they're not a rail, but obviously they do. If you've ever seen their trucks, their semi trucks. Them and JB Hunt are very important to kind of monitor as well in that regard. So okay, interesting. I would really like to look at gasoline. Let me see if I put an idea out, and since I know what heating oil is doing, I'm kind of curious if I can see what this pair is doing. Not really. It doesn't seem like it's doing all that much. Oh, this is a monthly time frame. It looks like it's still in play though. This trade idea. Anyways, just trying to get. You know what? Let me bring that back up. So okay. So it looks like gasoline is also pulled down. Let me see gas. Let me see if I can find another way to look at gasoline. It's gasoline futures. Let me see if. So okay. So I don't know how much I'm going to trust this. I do know that this is kind of the trend. So I'm going to say gasoline probably is down pretty good today. So this is, but what I wanted to get back to with crude oil was this was basically the trend of gasoline for the past couple of months. Okay, so when we go back and look at crude oil, it came to a situation where you had gasoline that was dropping off, you had crude oil that kept going higher. One of those was going to give up. One of those was going to give, because if gasoline, which is basically the demand side of energies, is dropping off, but you have the supply side, which is the crude side. That's most of the price impacts for crude oil come from the supply side, which is why OPEC's a big deal. They are the major supplier, right? Or traditionally has been the major supplier. And with crude oil pushing up as high as it is, or it was back in September, it got to one of those weird situations where, gasoline's dropping. Which one of these is going to give? Like, it's typically the supply side gives. Okay, when you have falling demand, there's nothing you can do. When you have falling demand, like eventually supply just gives. So you're seeing crude oil coming back down. So that makes sense. That makes some sense. We'll have to kind of keep that in mind. Be curious to see what this looks like maybe tomorrow, because it looks like crude oil is having a pretty good breakdown here. I'm not going to use that. Crude oil is having a pretty good breakdown, at least through this kind of zone. Getting down to at least that one. So crude oil might have had its run. And I know what spurred a lot of this bullishness through the summer was really, it wasn't demand. It was all those OPEC cuts. There was a lot of OPEC cuts that came in the first kind of half of the year. And it seems like they were probably right to cut, but they probably need to do more. If they're trying to keep the price of oil higher, they're going to need to do more. The problem with that is, well, if you're going to cut production, you're probably cutting labor force, which means, labor is going to get hit, all that kind of stuff. So it's, the dominoes kind of keep falling. So people that are optimistic on the economy and the market, it's like commodities are not really showing that as all that much. Like, you'd want to see energies doing better. Copper had a pretty good drop today. Wow. Okay. So copper did have a pretty good drop this morning. It looks like over the past few hours, it's been on a nice little rally here. But nice pullback into the moving averages. Okay. All right. Yeah. Copper looking okay. Copper looking all right. Let's